It's our special coverage of early voting exercise across the country. Roland Walker is my colleague. He's at the Nima police station speaking to some EU observers now. We want to touch base with them. We'll bring you that conversation in a bit, but I did mention that social media is an integral part of our coverage. We want to hear what you're saying on social media, and our man Augustine Home is on standby to tell us what's happening, particularly on Facebook. Augustine, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mama V, and thank you so much for joining us. We have been announcing so far, there's reports that we've been reporting that special voting begins today and it's already underway, but then there have also been reports that there are widespread reports of names missing from the register. And to some of the comments on that, Irene Abena Mansa Asari says, "Now dear, it's amazing how you've lowered our standards." Okay, let's not read this comment. Can we go to the next one? Owa Kweku Menu Jemfi says, when MPP was complaining about the register, people called them names, and now some of the military men, police, and other service personnel. And those are some of the things that people are saying on social media. Can we please scroll this up a bit? Okay. And Stephen Donko says, this exercise might come to an abrupt end if things continue this way. And he laughs. I don't know why he laughs, but... JB Kelvin James says, the rigging has started and MPP is doing nothing about it. And Eric Asare Boatsing says, I met one district director of health in a bus who showed me his NDC membership card and all the text messages of being a member of the NDC. He told me the NDC will have a shock of their lives in December 7 because of how they have messed up in the economy, I guess.
And not to cut you, but we'll come back and continue what's happening on Facebook. We want to touch base with Roland Walker now as he interviews some EU observer mission.
No, we move around. We stay like half an hour at least. Depends on if needed even more, but usually half an hour is the minimum. So we observe how is the person, and then we move to another polling station until the end of the day, and then we observe the closing somewhere, and then we'll observe what is happening in the collation center. And,
okay. Oh, what's your name again?
Alessandro Gori.
Alexander Gori from Italy.
Yes.
From which city?
From Udine.
Udine. All right. Well, I love the team. Yes, Udinese. Thank you very much. Yeah, you know, Asamoah and the rest. So, you know, sometimes it's a mixed bag of issues. For many of the times, you tend to find that for the electoral observers who have great experience just across monitoring elections in Africa, they tend to look out for certain indicators. So they know that, for example, when they come to they would have gotten to see whether the voting process was going on freely and fairly, whether security presence was high in detail or just on a low level, or whether also the media was being given access or not. And you could see that certain observations are made. They write down those reports and then they do their briefing periodically. This is just the first part, because we're going to have the main part that will be taking place on the 7th of December, and that will be a Wednesday, of course. It's next week, but it is from the Nima police station, polling station. That is where we're bringing you this very live coverage of the current voters or special voting process that is taking place here. And I know the security people are on me now, but I have to go back to the studio, and I hope that we can have a lot more correspondence from other parts of the country, giving us a lot more feedback on the special voting exercise.
We certainly do have a lot more correspondence on the ground. Roland Walker reporting there from the Nima police station polling center on some details, but Augustine is also on standby right here in studio to tell us what you're saying on Facebook. Augustine?
Yes, so there are a few more comments on Facebook. Can we get this scrolled up, please? Okay, Grandmaster H. Amako says he thinks this is the beginning of Wahala. And Archibald Nee Motel Ado says, God bless our homeland, Ghana. There are a few more comments, but Mama V, what do you think about all the comments that are coming in on social media?
I don't know, man, but people are beginning to, this is expected. A lot of people say different things. They understand things a bit differently, and they let their voices known on social media.
Definitely,
so
that's
people
definitely
having
the
their say. So tell us how people can join us and have a conversation on social media.
Okay, so you can just go on Facebook. The handle on Facebook is Joy 99.7 FM, and you can follow us on Twitter at Joy997 FM, and on Instagram also at Joy997 FM, and also on Snapchat at Joy997 FM.
Okay, so you can also use Joy News, the Joy News handle, Joy News Television, the Joy News handle as well, and then we'll read all your comments. Augustine, thanks a lot. We still have the Honorable Tete Chai here with me. But just to remind you that we've got over 127,000 eligible voters who are expected to cast their ballots today in the special or early voting exercise that precedes the general election slated for December 7, next week, Wednesday. Those participating in this early exercise, they include security agencies, officials, and temporary electoral officers, and the media. They will have some critical roles that they will play on election day, and that's why this exercise is underway. One of the major issues we have today is the fact that some personnel cannot find their names on the register, and that's coming up a lot in most of the centers that we visited today with our reporters on the ground. We're going to go around the country once more to find out exactly what's happening, but let me just engage you, Honorable Tete Chai. On social media, people interpret things a bit differently. How can that be controlled?
Well, it will be very difficult for those things to be controlled. Yes, sometimes it helps release some of the tensions that we have. People post a lot of things that when you read, you just ask yourself, really? Is this really happening? And some also will post information simply because they are ignorant about the issues. Okay, so it is good that we are getting a lot of feedback from people who really don't really understand the issues, and we also have to use this medium to educate them, because an officer not finding his name in the register does not mean that rigging is taking place. No. Okay, this is just an anomaly that has been created by their own institution, which is affecting the officers, and that can be easily corrected. So those of us who are using the social media to communicate, these are not issues that are going to lead to rigging of the elections or bloating of the register, and no, it cannot be possible. And as we've rightly said, those people will be given the opportunity to vote. I think one of the officers who is well versed in the process made it clear that those who are not able to vote today will get the opportunity to vote when that's December 7th, provided you've not gone through the process for the machine to say that you voted. Because once you voted, your name will be deleted, your barcode will be deleted.
Are you aware of any short code where people can text, even for December 7th, where they can know the exact polling station where they're voting? I think there was something like that 4 years ago.
Well, currently, I don't think the EC has done that, and I don't know whether they have the intention of doing it.
But do we need that? Because, and I'll use myself as an example. Yeah. I'm at West Wuogon, and that's the Legon campus. A lot of polling stations, especially because I also West Wuogon, especially because they're even going to cut down. So there'll be a lot more polling centers. Now, which of the queues do I join when I go? Because I think the mistake I also made was not to check.
Yeah, you know what? The queues to join depends on your identification, your specific number that is identifying you. And most of these polling stations will have those codes in place. So you come, you look at the code, you look at what you have. If it is within that range, it means your name is in that register. That is the very simple way of doing it. If you have a polling station where, let's say previously you had only one polling station for registration, and now it has been divided into 2 or 3, The division involves the various range. So those ranges will be exhibited. So when you come, the first thing, you need not join the queue when you enter the polling station. First of all, when you enter, go closer and see where your code is. And then you go and join that queue. Normally, some of the challenges we have is that people come to the polling station and then they look at the queue, the one which is maybe shorter, and they just join. Only to get to the officer where your name will be checked, and then you'll be told, no, you are not voting here. You have to join the next one. And when it happens, so those in that queue will not allow you to quickly go in front and vote. They will never consider you. That means you have to go and then join at the tail end, and it becomes a whole lot of confusion. So these are some of the education that, like what we are doing now, we need to do so that the voters, when they get to the polling station, they first of all check where they are going to vote before they join the queue. It's very important.
With all the reports that we've heard of,
and then you're also talking about maybe a means of getting access to where you need to join. It's a very good thing. But I know today the EC is giving all the, I think, the presidential candidates the opportunity to meet them, and then maybe their challenges, whatever they have. I think some of these things can be put before them. And maybe, I don't know the arrangements that they have with the telecos. They could have done that even at a fee. People would be willing to do it. Because if I have to go to a polling station where I have different stations within the polling station, and I can easily check and tell me this is where I have to be, that would be fine. It will not take much.
With all the incidents, what we've heard, what's been reported, what we've seen, even at some of the centers of some persons who cannot vote today, do you see that the number of persons expected to vote will probably be cut short?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. I have told you this is not the first time these things are happening. Anytime you have elections, on the special voting day, these things come up. At least I have witnessed not less than 5 times. It happens. And at the end of the day, the security services will address the anomaly. But the challenge is that we have not learned from the past. Because these are things that normally occurs. And I believe that per the institution that this thing normally affects, they should have a mechanism of addressing.
So if so, we haven't learned from the past. Who hasn't? Is it the Electoral Commission, the security agencies?
Well, it can be from both ends, in the sense that during the transfer period, the EC did indicate that all those who want to or will be doing some work on election day, who need to go to other polling stations other than their polling stations, need to go and then do the transfers. I think the EC did their work. As to we, the individuals working within these institutions, whether one, we were informed, is also another issue. Because if the police service was to send a communique to all its barracks all over the country before the transfer period, that you'll be working on election day, those of you who have moved. But the question is, some of the police officers may be having genuine challenge, in the sense that, look, he or she will not even know as to where he will be posted on election day. And so therefore, those challenges may be very real. But it is up to the police service themselves to have foreseen some of these things, and then arrange their officers in such a way that these problems might have come down. But I think they didn't learn from the past. They didn't learn from the past.
You're watching Joy News as our coverage of the special voting exercise that is underway here in our country, across the various constituencies here in our country. We're going to touch base with some of our correspondents reporting on various issues. We'll see how the exercise is going in a bit. It's just some 23 minutes after 9, and Theophilus Tetechai is in here with me. We're looking at the situation together. and he's doing a lot of the analysis for us here on our show. So do we expect the exercise, Honorable Tetechai, to end at 5? Or do you expect that we'll go beyond 5? We'll still have a lot of people in queues?
Well, per the rules and regulations, voting is supposed to end at 5. But at 5, all those in the queue will have to vote before voting ends. Because at 5 o'clock, it was not their fault not to have voted. So once it's 5 o'clock, all those in the queue, they have to finish voting before the polling ends. That is the arrangement. But those who will come after 5 will not be given the opportunity to join the queue. They will not be given the opportunity. So at 5 o'clock, the whole place is cordoned. The last person is actually marked so that anybody who comes, you are turned away. So those of us who want to vote today, we have up to maybe 4:59 if you really want to vote.
If you have up to 4:59 to be in the queue.
Exactly.
How about the places that the exercises
sometimes
start
depending
early?
on the watch of the officer.
But some of the centers didn't start voting early. They didn't start the exercise at 7.
Yes, but you cannot extend it. You cannot, unless maybe the delay is something that can disenfranchise a lot of people. Then, with the consent of the
electoral officer,
that arrangement can be done. But other than that, I don't think people will be given that opportunity. No.
Okay. And on this day, another breaking issue that we shared with you is this measure by in a joint statement on parliamentary coalition between the PPP and the PNC, where the People's National Convention and the Progressive People's Party have announced to the members and supporters and indeed the general public that they've reached an agreement on parliamentary coalition for the 7 December general elections and some of the places we've mentioned. But let's touch base with Communications Director of the PPP, Paco Akon, who's joining us via phone. Good morning to you. Thanks for your time, Paco Akon.
Happy, and thank you for having me.
So why have you, this perhaps has come as a surprise to a lot of people. We didn't know that there were any talks underground. When did you reach these agreements?
Well, let me say good morning to your viewers. And this agreement has been going. You recall that before we even launched our manifesto, we were calling for a coalition with the PNC and the CPP. That did not materialize. And so going into the election, we felt that, well, if at the presidential level we can't have that coalition which will bring the change that Ghanaians are seeking, then it becomes relevant for us to have a coalition at the parliamentary level, because we know that in some of the constituencies, the PPP does not have a parliamentary candidate. And in the very constituencies we have published, there are some that the PNC too does not have parliamentary candidates. And so it makes a lot of sense that where we do not have a candidate, we support the PPP, the PNC candidates. And where they do not have a candidate, they support our candidate. Because whether you like it or not, our people are going to vote for parliamentary and presidential. And we don't want them to go and make the wrong decision. And so we are calling on them, our supporters and sympathizers, when we get to the polling station, they vote for Dr. Ndom for president, they should vote for the PNC candidate if there is no PPP candidate in that constituency. And where there is a PPP candidate, the PPP candidate should also vote for our candidate. And so I think it is a coalition that has been reached, and we believe that this will enable both parties to have representation in parliament. We can't continue to have a parliament which is dominated by these two parties, NDC and NPP. Parties that have over the years taken entrenched positions and are never able to reach an agreement that will benefit the lives of the ordinary Ghanaian. And so this is a call in the right direction. Now we are hoping that this will yield the needed result and impact that will transform this parliament we have.
But Pakwakon, isn't it also a bit confusing for the voter because you may not have a PNC candidate or a PPP candidate in a particular constituency, but you always have a presidential candidate. So do I also begin to think which of the presidential candidates, the PPP or the PNC presidential candidate, I vote for, even as I consider the parliamentary candidate? Is it not confusing?
So it is never confusing. It is never confusing. And if you read a statement, if you take constituencies such as Nadoli, Kaolio, Sisala East, Busa South, Bolga Central, Palensi, and Waliwali, these are constituencies that you have PNC candidates, but no PPP parliamentary candidate contesting in these areas. And so all we are saying is that our supporters in these constituencies, when they go on December 7th to cast their vote, they should cast their vote for Papa Christendom for the presidential and the parliamentary. They should vote the PNC. And then when you take the PPP, for example, we are represented in Wa East, Bongo, Mulensi, Timpani, Wa Central, and Salaga North. And we are saying that the PNC candidates, supporters, when they go, they should, because they are PNC people, so they definitely vote for their flag bearer. But when it comes to the parliamentary where they do not have candidates in these constituencies, then they should vote for the PPP candidate. And I don't think this is confusing. I think it's so simple and straightforward. Because whether you like it or not, if we had not told them this, they were going to vote for some candidates anyway for the parliamentary.
So in your deliberations, did you also consider having one presidential candidate? Because you seem to have some things in common. At least you agree on certain things.
No, the presidential, as I earlier indicated, we tried reaching an agreement that looking at the timing and so on and so forth, it was going to be difficult because we had elected a flag bearer and the PNC too had elected their flag bearer. And so when both parties met, it was a bit of a difficulty, and that did not materialize. And that agreement we're trying to reach was not fully with the PNC. We tried to even bring on board the PPP and some of the other parties, but it didn't work out. But we can't throw our hands in despair and say, because the presidential did not happen, we should forget about having a coalition at the parliamentary level. I think that what is an icebreaker, and hopefully in the subsequent elections, there is a possibility that both parties could reach an agreement at the presidential level. So it is a possibility that can happen. So I think that this, what happened is good, and we must commend these two parties for having reached such a fantastic agreement.
Just before I let you go, Pakwakon, with barely 6 days to the general elections in December 7, has this information perhaps not come a bit too late? How do you intend getting it to your core supporters?
Well, as I speak with you, we have sent circulars to all our constituency executives, and they are also disseminating the information to the polling station members. And I mean, your media, for example, is also helping to transmit the same message. So we are counting on everyone to help us disseminate this information. But we are hopeful that what our leaders have done will translate into votes. And that is what we are seeking, that we'll have representation in parliament. We'll have a parliament that is balanced and not this winner takes all, minority have their say, and majority have their way, and some bills are passed without proper scrutiny and all that. It goes to affect every one of us.
All right.
And let me say, Mama V, that the political parties or they are not doing us any favor. The MPs are not doing us any favor. We vote for individuals and not parties. So let's look at the people who have the interest, who have our interest at heart, and let's get them there. We need people who will care about us, people who think about our welfare to be in parliament and not necessarily party apparatus.
All right, we wish you well in this collaboration. That's the PPP's Director of Communication talking to us about this collaboration that they have with the PNC, and they've named some constituencies and they're asking their members to vote for the persons who stand on those tickets. We'll bring you more on that, but let's also move to another issue. Some security personnel who can find their names on the special voting register have thrown the whole municipal office of the Electoral Commission. Fred Kwame Asare joins us via Skype now. Fred, what are they doing at this office? It's not a polling center, is it?
No, I'm at the polling center, but then the police station has been set right in front of the Electoral Commission, the regional offices of the Electoral Commission. And then what these security officers are they are trying to find out from the municipal director as to why they can't find their names on the register. I have here with me one security officer who couldn't find his name on the register and is ready to speak to. Hello, good morning, sir. Hello. Yeah, good morning. Please, when you got to the
I went the lady to find out if my name is on the list, and she took my card, she checked, and she said my name is on the list. That's where we are now.
Okay, so when you came to the municipal director, what checked?
No, she took my card, she went to the list to check what after that my name there. I reached out in this constraint, this way I said, so now she was expecting my name. And she said, okay, I have to go to radically, where I registered at the high court, just behind me. And she gave me my myself to go. That's what she told.
Okay, so some of the colleagues are saying that because they can't find their names to do something, they wouldn't go on duty, but rather they would go to their and then
no, that is the individual feeling that they are expressing. You know, in times like this, you get angry, you say a lot of things. As his duty calls as servicemen, we have to go on our duties. But it is be unfortunate that we will not vote. That is the problem. Going to the duty, that we will go. Whatever the case may be, we have to go. We have to do our duty. But we will do it in the expense of our votes. That's the situation. You understand? So saying that they are not vote, yeah, it's not true. You have people to express their feelings in times like this. Don't damn them. And that's the feeling someone is expressing. And then that they have to go and vote and not go and vote. But I don't think it will work that way. Since we are ready to get the ballot, but to do what we have to do as service officers, that one we have to do it. Yes, that's how it is.
Thank you very much, sir. Mavi, you just heard one of the officers couldn't find his name on the register, and then behind me, it's quite a number of the officers at the office of the Municipal Electoral Commission, and they are trying to find out why they can't find their names on the register.
Base with you again in the wild. That's Fred Kwame Asare, my colleague there, reporting there are some officers who are trying to find answers as to why their names come on that voters register list. But this situation is not peculiar to Ho Central. It's happening across the country, but these officers are trying to find some answers directly from the Municipal Electoral Commission office. Honorable Tesachai, this is a good thing, right? At least they are going to a good source.
I think they've done the right thing by going to the main Electoral Commission office to actually find out what is happening. But I find something very interesting. You know, most of these officers have not taken the trouble to even go and check their names in the register.
As when the register was open.
Exactly. You see, because before your name can appear in a register, you should have registered in that area. Okay? So, you moving from one region to another region does not guarantee your name being the new region that you are in. It does not. because the need to do transfer is not done by somebody else. If you want to do transfer, you cannot give me your card to go and do transfer on your behalf. No, the laws does not allow that. You have to be there in person to do the transfer. That is why the Electoral Commission actually gave a date for transfers to be done. But as I rightly said, these officers have not been properly briefed, because that was the period that the officers should have done the transfers into the areas that they are currently working. Okay, that would have guaranteed them the opportunity to vote today in those areas. But because they didn't do that, your officers decided to take your cards, send it to the Electoral Commission to enable you vote on the special voting day. It doesn't mean that to enable you vote in where you are today. Are you getting me? So they think because they are in those areas, once on the special voting day, they have to vote in those areas. No, your name has not been transferred to that area because you have not performed that civic duty of transferring your name. So definitely your name will not be there. And so they should have had the education from both the Electoral Commission and then the security services. But I did indicate earlier on that during the special voting, the Electoral Commission came out as to why the need for transfers to be done, because you've moved into a new area, and all those things were spelled out. People didn't do it. Now, yes, let's say you didn't even do that. Now it was time for exhibition. The essence of exhibition is for you to check whether your name is in that register. The question is, did we avail ourselves for the checking? We didn't do it. Okay, if you had done that, that would have given you the indication that because you didn't do the transfer, you cannot vote here. But that one too, we didn't exercise that civic responsibility. So today, you see what is happening. And people will blame the EC for this activity. The EC should not be blamed in this. The EC should not be blamed in what is happening. It's because we ourselves have not taken the responsibility to perform that civic responsibility. It's as simple as that.
That's the Honorable Theophilus Tetechai, who's been here with us since the beginning of our coverage of the special voting exercise. It's 41 minutes after 9 now, still here on Joy News. There's an interesting situation in Osu, the Osu police station, where one of the candidates, the specific candidate for the NPP, Philip Anderson, we're told is his own polling agent. Hannah Dame joins us via phone now. Hannah, good morning.
It's good.
Hannah Dame is at the Klote Kwali constituency. Hannah, if you can hear me, a very good morning.
I can hear you, Mama Ree.
Okay, so Hannah, interesting. Why is Philip Anderson, who is a candidate, a polling agent?
I really don't know why, because when I went close to him to at least ask him why, he said I will distract him, because as you know, they are counting the number of persons that are voting, and so I can see about 5 polling agents seated and ask them when somebody votes, they mark on the paper that they are holding. So when you go close to him to ask him any question, he said you will distract him. So I've not been able to find out why. But that's interesting that a candidate, parliamentary candidate, will decide to be his own polling agent. This place also has been quite, it's not been so chaotic. Nothing bad has happened here, except that a lot of the people who have refused to go on record, though, have not been able to cast their ballot because they can't find their names. One information that I picked up was that some of them gave their ID cards, their voting cards to the commanders in their various police stations to take to the EC. The understanding I got is that some of the commanders did not take the forms, did not take the ID cards. Others who also took the ID cards did not follow up, and so their names did not appear in the special voting. That's number one. The other reason that I picked up was that and their names are not here, but they are at other police stations. So they have to either go to Nima police station or Adabaka police station. They go there, they do not find their names there. So then they'll be told that they have to wait and vote on December 7th. That's where they become angry, because they said they'll be on duty on December 7th. That means they've been disenfranchised just because their names are not on the special voting list,
So at this center, the Osu police station, Hannah, how many people are expected to cast their ballot today?
According to the EC, the presiding officer, he says 672 are expected to vote. As of now, as I speak to you, I asked him a while ago, 116 had casted their votes, and a lot more are in the queue. It's very calm here, and they're still with them.
All right, okay, Hannah, we'll leave it here, but we know that you're monitoring a lot on the ground, so we're going to touch base with you later on. That's Hannah Odame from the Osu police station, the Klote Koli constituency, where Philip Anderson, who is the parliamentary candidate for the NPP, is his own polling agent. And Honorable Tetecha, you say that's a good thing?
Yeah, I have done it before.
Oh, at Ablekuma Central.
Yeah. You see, on the special voting day, there are people coming from various areas who are not even within your constituency,
so they may not be familiar.
Exactly, exactly. And if they see you as the candidate, sometimes even your looks alone, they give it to you.
Really?
If I tell you reasons why people vote, you'll be amazed. Yes. So for me, it is a good thing. He has been very smart on that particular issue, seriously, and I give it to him.
But isn't that advertising? Like, you know,
that is why
you're campaigning, even though you're not talking.
That's why I'm saying he's been smart, because one, he's not wearing a party uniform. The parliamentary candidate has the right to bring an agent. He can decide to be his own agent. So far as he's not wearing any party, how do you call it, paraphernalia to identify him. And that is what he's actually done. And for me, it's a smart move. Those who didn't learn from that, I think in the next coming elections, they will learn from it. This is very, very important, because there are a lot of people who are voting today who may not know the candidates that they have to vote for. So they come, they ask, who are those standing? You know, because they don't have any idea. They don't come from that area. Yeah, they don't come from that area. So
if you're lucky enough to find yourself there, and
then they come and say,
so that's one of the candidates. He's the only person here.
He sees, He votes for him, he goes away.
Let's return to Oforikrom, Honorable Tetecha, because now we're hearing that the Oforikrom constituency chairman for the NPP in the Ashanti region, Awudu Seidu, is complaining about change of voting register for the special voting. He said they've had a call that around 11 p.m. that the original register for the voting changed. It was changed around 11 p.m. yesterday. That's the allegation that's coming through, and that the initial number of voters in the register has shot up to some 403, from 403 to 605, and so they're appealing to the Regional Electoral Commission boards to call the voting process off at Oforikrom. We're going to touch base with our colleague in a while to find out if this, how this is being addressed in Oforikrom in the Ashanti region. We also talked to Parko Akom, the communications director of the PPP. He's been explaining a lot more on this merger, and I thought that it would be a bit confusing, Honorable Tetecha. You're asking me to, in some constituencies, vote for a particular parliamentary candidate who's not necessarily part of my party, but you're asking me to vote for the presidential candidate. Is it just me, or this can be confusing to the person who is going to vote?
As I listened to him, I became confused myself. In one breath, he was saying that there was a need to ensure that you don't allow the NDC or the MPP to have its way in Parliament, and therefore you need people who will not think in those lines to be in Parliament. So you are looking for the best, somebody who is qualified, somebody who is competent, somebody who is actually going to work to ensure that what we all aspire for as a country is gotten from that person. So why do you give direction if you don't have? I thought what they would have said was that they should look at the candidates who are standing within those areas and look at those that are very competent enough to represent the interests of the constituency and Ghana.
Okay, this is to be continued. Obviously, they don't want NDC or NPP. Let's go back to this Oforicom situation. Nanaya Ojima is joining us via phone. He's our colleague with Love FM. Nanaya, this Oforicom situation where the NPP is calling for the process to be called off, what's happening to it?
All right, currently what they are saying is that the register being used to conduct the election is different from what they had earlier. They are saying they had a register with over 230 names. Right now, they are seeing a register with 600 names on it. And also, some of the security men who are supposed to vote today are not finding their names in the register. So it's becoming a problem for them and the security people here.
Per the electoral officers register, how many people are expected to vote at the
All right, the electoral, the returning officer here didn't give me the exact number, but he says that they have over 600 people voting here at Oforicom. Okay. So he cannot do anything about it since that's the register he has. So if the NPP has any challenge with that, they should rather go to the regional officer to get clarifications on that.
And Nanaya, has the NPP explained where they got their register from?
All right, they are saying they had a register from the EC yesterday. So they were going by that register. Until this dawn, when the EC called them or sent them a notice that the register has been changed. So they are going by the new register now. So they want a copy of the register and also get those who do not have their names on it on the register. But
has the returning officer at this particular polling station confirmed that the register was changed late yesterday?
All right, he has no information about any early register sent to the parties. All that he knows is that they went to pick this register this morning for the election. So the only register he knows about is what they are using today.
So the call from the NPP is stop the process. Has the process been stopped?
No. They are still voting, and the parliamentary candidate for the NPP, that's Dr. Iman Omafo, is the one working on that for the NPP.
Okay, so what are party agents saying? Are they all singing the same tune?
Exactly. It's full of confusion. Everybody is saying the exercise should be halted. Aside the NDC and other parties, the NPP is saying they want the exercise halted, but other parties are okay with what's happening.
All right. Tell us, just before you go, Nanaya, about police presence. How heavy is security?
All right. Since they are all voting in the police station, everything it's on point. The police and security people are all here.
All right. Nanaya, we'll leave it there, but we'll definitely come back and find out what more's been happening. That's Nanaya, who's station at Oforicom is in the Ashanti region. We'll move over to Beatrice Edu. She's reporting live from the Bema camp here in Accra. Beatrice, good morning to you. It's been a busy morning already. What's been happening?
Indeed, Mamadu, it has been, and I'm currently at Bema Hall, Special Training Station Center. That is actually within Bema camp here, the military zone. And there are a number of military men who have queued. There are 2 queues here on your right and on your left, ready to cast their ballot. I've been speaking with the presiding officer here. His name is Oscar Obese, and he told me that the voting opened exactly on time, 7 a.m., and they are expecting 3,330 voters elected to cast their ballot today. After this time, only 115 of them have been able to cast their ballots, but so far, he tells me that the exercise has been smooth. I've been here for almost an hour. I haven't seen anything untoward.
Beatrice, elsewhere we've had some personnel being turned away because they couldn't find their name in the register. Is this happening where you are?
Exactly, it is. In fact, just when I walked in before I everybody, I saw some of the security men who were speaking with the presiding officer saying that their names were in the register in this polling station. But the officer looked at their voters' IDs and said that those were not their polling station numbers, and so they should go to wherever they registered. So a few of them have been turned away because their names are not here. Others did not also transfer their votes. They thought that they were transferred here.
Beatrice, we'll leave it here. We'll touch base with you later on. That's Beatrice Edo reporting from Burma camp. We still have that situation, the Oforikrom situation. Yes.
You see, it is very simple. You ask the question, at what point was the register changed? Okay. Now, per the processes, stuffing of the ballot with materials are done together with the parties. Okay. There is no way the EC will put ballot materials into the ballot box to the polling station the next day without the presence of the parties. So the question is, the new register they are talking about, is it a register that came with the ballot box outside the ballot box? Mama, are you getting me? Or was this something that they all supervised to be packed into the ballot box, sealed, and then brought early this morning to be used? Because no material should come outside that ballot box. Okay, if you followed our electoral processes very well.
So everything, including the register, comes in the box.
Exactly.
With the seal on it.
Exactly.
And the parties can put their seal on it as well.
Exactly. So if we've done that the night before, pack all those things. Is it the same material? If it is the same material, I don't see the sort of noise that is being made. And the question is, have they informed their superiors who are privy to the issues? You see, sometimes we, the political parties, create problems where there are no problems. Because one, the register that is being used, if indeed it is not what they have, there's no way the political party will not have that register, because it is mandatory for all the various political parties to have the same register that is being used at a polling station. And what is the essence? So that we can verify those who have voted and then those who are not voting. Is that okay? So if this is the new voter list that have been brought to the station, at the end of the day, are those at the NPP headquarters, are they fighting over it? You cannot be in the village over there and then be fighting over something that you don't know about. Do you get it? So sometimes you see party chairmen and other things making noises that they shouldn't make, because these things can be easily verified, and it's not something that can be hidden from one party to the other. You pose a question, the other political parties, are they having challenges with it? They say no. So why is it that one person...
Isn't that, I mean, I feel like this is to be expected, because you don't say the same things that the NPP says.
No, but you see, the truth is only one. Like I've just told you, in packing the materials into the box, the EC doesn't do it alone. Okay? The returning officer, he doesn't do it alone. He does that with the support of the political parties. So if a register is going to be put into the box, I know the register that have been put into the box contains 650 names, because the names on the register are the same quantity of ballot papers that will be put into the box plus 5% addition. Are you getting me? So if they say the register is 200, then you don't expect the electoral officer to put into the box 600 ballot papers. Mama, are you getting me? You see, these are basic things that political parties who are really versed in the electoral processes should know. So if the list is 200 and you know the list given to you is 200 and you go to that polling station and then the EC officer puts in 600 ballot papers,
it should correspond with the number of persons on the register.
You see, but you see, most of our party people are ignorant. They don't know anything about the electoral process. Some have just been made chairman. They just talk. You see, this is a simple thing. And you don't need anybody to come and tell you this. Maybe that is the process. The process is when the materials are brought to the electoral office, a day before the election, there is packing of those materials. Boxes that will be used on election day. Now, we are given the number of people who are supposed to be at that polling station, the materials that are to be sent to those stations. Everything has been made available to all the various political parties. Now we go to that room, the officer picks the box. This is the empty box, he puts it down. Okay, well, first register. So they tick register. So you make sure the register goes into the box. Because if the register doesn't go into the box, on the election day, you come to the station, when the box is open, there will be no register. It will delay all those who are going to vote, and some will leave. So our duty is to ensure that one, the register, which contains 600 names, is put into it. After the register has been put into it, the next thing, the ballot papers, okay? Maybe the ballots are in 50s. So if this list is 600, I expect 50, how many of 50s will give me 600? So that is counted and then it is placed in it. Now when that is done, there should be an extra of 5%. That extra 5% is also calculated and then added onto it so that in case a ballot paper is destroyed, that one can be used to replace. So you can't tell me, you can never convince me that you had an electoral register of 200 and then you only come to the station today to see 600. It can never happen.
Let's speak to Elton Brobe.
It's just laughable. It can never happen.
The Honorable Theophilus Setochai in here with Misa special coverage of the early voting exercise which is underway across the country. Elton Brobe is joining us from Okaikwe Central. He's live from there. There's an interesting situation at the Tesano police station that he's going to tell us about. Elton, good morning to you.
Their votes. Some also from this area had to go to Achimota police station for Okaikwe North. Some from Ayawaso West have to go to Legon police station. So we as responsible citizens, when they come in and they ask us to direct them as to what they should do. The issue is that the EC should have settled this issue long before this day, because they knew that people were going to partake in this special voting process. It was on their calendar from day one. And they ought to have certified those who were supposed to vote and also display it on their website or on their pages so people can easily know that I am Officer so and so, I did register at this place, I'm supposed to vote at this place. So that beforehand or before time they could ascertain where they were to vote. For somebody to have traveled all the way from Obuasi to Accra and to be told that she should go back to Kumasi is not a good situation. So I believe the EC has failed in that respect. They ought to have displayed on their website those who qualify to vote at a respective special voting site so they could cast their ballot.
Are you surprised this has become so widespread across the country?
I'm surprised because the special voting list issues were raised from day one. People anticipated these challenges and we expected the EC to have corrected them. I don't want to speculate that people will go to the polls on Wednesday and not find their names. God forbid. We pray that this should be an eye-opener for the EC to put in place a lot of measures to ensure that people who have registered at their polling stations go there and find their names on the roll without any challenges, because that is what heightens tension on election day. So we pray to God that they do the necessary correction.
Some of the police officers I've spoken to told me that they've been given 3 days by the IGP for them to go through this exercise, because some will be posted outside their comfort zone to monitor the general elections on December 7th. So if they are unable to vote today, chances are that they may not be able to vote at all in this 2016 general elections. What do you think can be done immediately so that people are not disenfranchised due to problems from the EC or their own officers who submitted their name to the Electoral Commission?
You see, the IGP does not conduct elections. The IGP cannot through any means disenfranchise anyone.
The concerns we've heard from the EC is that they are only working with names submitted by the police administration, for example.
That is so. So if any police officer feels strongly that he or she is being disenfranchised by the police administration, quote and unquote, by not submitting his or her name to the EC, that person has a right to ensure that he votes before he goes to wherever he is going to be sent. Question is, when I'm being sent to Kumasi, I'm supposed to go to Kumasi, let's say on Tuesday before the election day. What happens? So I believe between now and Tuesday, those who could not vote must be given the opportunity wherever to cast their ballots. I believe the system must be so transparent to ensure that everybody gets an opportunity to vote before Wednesday as a special voter, if they so qualify.
From the political party's point of view, are you satisfied with the way things are?
Not entirely so far, but we wait to hear from the EC. I think the EC ought to come out with a statement to clarify some of these challenges special voters are going through. Some of us have acted as agents for the EC today by trying to assist, because we have a responsibility as Ghanaians. But I believe the EC before midday must come out with a statement to direct affairs on these challenges. Thank you very much.
Before you go with the engineer, in summary, so far, Enema question, we okay with the way Enema is the conducting or man for chess, so we didn't need people so. Send a woman so far.
You share about Tony there. Kosovo ko Bonibia ni Obia Baba Tunaba. Osha police for the Electoral Commission officials Obia Tunaba. Now so Obashana police for any bar on Beka Somudini Obuaha yes unko Carnation Police Station, yes unko Achimota Police Station, Okankwe North for Legon Police Station, Ayawaso West Wogon. Na Nana make sure I say when you know Sanka East, you know. I want to be published via the baby of a tunaba on my website. So police officer now boarding, now board coder. I'll say to me, show immediately say we a special voter over to about her now over to about her say. But over so her now so koha over so I say kokanishi over to I say koya. I know na day tension no.
And that's the Member of Parliament for Kaikwe Central, Patrick Boama, speaking there with my colleague Elton Bobby, and the Honourable Theophilus Tetechai, who is in here, seemed to disagree with many of the things that he said.
Yeah, you see, sometimes you see candidates who are also not well versed with the electoral processes. As I rightly told you, transfers cannot be done on behalf of anybody. It's a legal issue, and therefore transfers are done individually. So if you want to do a transfer, you have to go to the Electoral Commission to transfer your votes.
Do you agree, though, that the Electoral Commission must issue a statement to explain what's been happening today?
Yeah, yesterday I did hear the Electoral Commission stating clearly that those who did not do transfers into the areas they find themselves now cannot vote, although they want to vote in those areas. Because you know, the registration, the machine, how do you call it?
The BVDs?
Yes, have been done in such a way that you cannot access your name here and then go to another region and then access your name on that same machine. No. Just to avoid rigging, double voting. Okay? So once you've not done the transfer for your name to be taken out from point A, if you find yourself in point B, it doesn't mean that because you are in point B, they should allow you to vote there. It doesn't happen that way. But the machine is not said that if you put in your thumbprint, it takes your data from wherever you registered. No.
Honorable Theophilus Tetteh-Chai, we've got to wrap up on this part of our coverage because we've got another team taking over. Francis Aban and Bernice Abobeidu will take over the coverage of the special voting. Thing that you will say to us?
Oh, yes. I want to say that people should remain calm. Those officers who are not getting the opportunity to vote today, definitely I believe the institutions will make special arrangements for them so that on election day they cast their votes, because we need all those votes. It is very key in our elections.
Are you voting next Wednesday? Because you're not voting today.
I'll be the first person to vote in my area.
Would you be an agent again this year?
Yes. Yes, I'll do that.
So you'll be a party agent?
Yeah, and then monitor as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm an external party agent.
We wish you well.
Because we need to be going around educating people. You know, there are some of the things, there are not things that should create problems. But because we are ignorant about them, sometimes we say things that tend not to be the right things. And that creates the problems.
All right. We wish you well.
Thank you.
Okay, it's a wrap up from me, Mama Viewusu Abuaji, and the entire crew that started this with us. Our coverage pretty much from about 7 till now. Bernice Abobeidu and Francis Aban taking over coverage now here. It's your election headquarters. Please stay with us. We're not done until the last person cast their vote. Later today is a special voting exercise. This is our special coverage. Stay with us.